for those of us just joining, I am Lauren Brennan, and I am excited to host you this evening and tell you a little bit more about Project Knitwell and introduce our speaker, Suzan Colón. We're very excited to participate in a meditation this evening. To give you a little overview of our time together tonight, we'll kick off with this Kahoot interaction. I will then open to Scott Stoner, our board president, who will give his opening remarks and an introduction of our board members. I will then have an opportunity to hear from our founder, Carol Caparosa, and then I'll share some video footage that covers why we do what we do. We'll talk a little bit about the building blocks of wellness, comfort, and community, the core strengths of our mission. I'll then introduce our fabulous speaker, Suzan, who I hope will give us more information about her meditation program. In the chat, we'll be adding a link to her website, which you are welcome to peruse at your leisure. We hope that you'll learn more about Suzan and get to know her a little better tonight. She's also hosting meditation at Vogue Knitting Live this upcoming weekend. I have participated myself and really enjoyed it, so I hope you will participate in her marketplace discussion as well. It's really a great opportunity to really learn about knitting as a wellness tool, and we're really lucky to have Suzan here with us tonight. You'll also have a chance to enter any questions that you have for Suzan in our Q&A section at the bottom of your screen. And then we will end the night with a tribute to our volunteers. Really our core and the heart of our organization is our volunteers, and we're excited to pay tribute with a short video at the end of the night. And then, of course, our live auction is still going on until 9 p.m. tonight. So just under 2 hours to get those last bids in. We are also very excited to announce that we will have a round 2 of our auction in November, right around Giving Tuesday. So we hope that you will take a look at that and keep an eye out for another auction coming up soon. We have another batch of really great items to share with you. All right, I'm going to go ahead, and I'm hoping that everyone that's interested in being logged into the Kahoot has had a chance to do that, and we'll go ahead and get started. So this is an anniversary Kahoot. So of course, all the questions are about Project Knitwell. And we'd love to learn a little bit more about who's joining us tonight. If this is your very first time hearing about us, that's so wonderful. Or if you've been dedicated to our organization for many, many years, we're very excited to have so many strong supporters from our community. We're also excited that those that learn to knit with us via Knitwell in the Cloud are joining us from around the country, or really around the world tonight. We had a very successful pandemic pivot with Knitwell in the Cloud, and we're really excited that we can provide that instruction. Oh, look at that. So we are very well divided. I'm excited about those 8 brand new folks that will hear about us for the very first time tonight, or maybe within the last year means that you probably have heard about us at least a little bit. So we're excited to have you. All right, so this leaderboard is sort of inaccurate because there are no wrong answers, but it is whoever answered the quickest. So it's a little deceiving. All right, so Project Knitwell started as an official nonprofit in October 2010. Is that true or false? And this is a screenshot. This photo here is a screenshot of our very first website from the Wayback Machine. And look how far we've come. You can see that we've always been providing simple patterns. We've always partnered with major organizations like the Ronald McDonald House. And I really hope that you'll visit our current website to learn more also. So that is true, October 2010. So we are officially turning 11 years old this month. So this is really our way of closing out our 10th year celebration. We kept the birthday train rolling for, for the whole year long. So we're excited about that. So that might have been a little bit of a trick question. All right. So what is your favorite, or what do you think the best recent project that Project Knitwell has participated in? You heard me talk a little bit about Knitwell in the Cloud. This photograph is a setup of one of the volunteers, so they can clearly see the hands of our volunteer teaching them. We've found that it's really a great format. Our K2 Together, also an opportunity to expand that community and get to know those knitters come together just like they would in your local yarn shop. Knitwell Knits Back, where we've created over 200 hats and fingerless gloves for nurses and those at N Street Village. Writers Who Knit, which was a really fun program this past summer that we hope to continue to partner with other artists and writers especially that knit are really one of our core strengths. And I think that we're so popular among writers. I feel like it makes sense to have those wellness tools. Oh, look at that. So pretty well split. And I'm glad to see that folks are familiar with those programs, and we're excited that Knitwell in the Cloud has been so successful, especially. All right, next question. What's your favorite charity initiative? So these are just a few of many, many charity initiatives. Obviously, we had a K2 Together that talked about Peace Pals, and we had an expert Peace Pal maker with us, which was a really fun conversation. Hats for Babies, N Street Nurses, the Kind Hearts Project, which we'll hear a little bit more about from Suzanne later on, which I think is a really great craftivism project. We also really enjoy hearing about new projects like Soap Sacks, which is a fun project that we may be able to partner with in the future. Yes, everyone, the hats are like a tradition around here, right? I know that many folks have been a part of those initiatives, and we really are appreciative of our very, very productive volunteers. All right. Our last question, and the one I am particularly excited about, is naming our sheep. We've published our resource guide for so many years, and with the recent revised editions have included this adorable sheep. And I was hoping that if you have any ideas in the chat, that you can pop your original name idea, or you can take a vote. Sheepwell Jr., Miss Woolwell, Welly, I don't know. What do you think? We'll see if we have anyone in the chat that has Woolworth. Oh, I like that. That's a good suggestion. All right, let's see what the verdict is. Welly. Oh, well, I love that. I think that's a good name, right? All right, so I think we've officially marked a new tradition at Project Knitwell. Our Welly book is here to stay, and we look forward to revising it for years to come. So I'm very excited that we were able to participate in that. Let's see who has the fastest fingers here while I switch screens. Excellent. All right. It looks like some of my children are extra fast, so I'm excited. I hope that you all enjoyed the opportunity to learn a little bit more about Project Knitwell. And I would now like to introduce our board president, Scott Stoner, to tell us a little bit more about Project Knitwell and share our board members.
Thanks, Lauren. Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you all for joining us and for your generous support of Project Knitwell, and especially to those of you who have been with us and have volunteered your time and service to over 6,000 people over the past 10 years. These are nice round numbers. Thank you so much. This evening is a reminder that the process of creative making, in our case, knitting, brings joy and comfort, healing and wellness, and a sense that we're all in this together, which is so needed in this time of challenges in our world. And our mission, always remember, is knitting with a purpose. Our commitment is to continue to educate and to support a wide range of individuals. And, it's really to help transform and maintain healthier, happier lives for all of those that we touch. So Thank you for joining us in that commitment. As you know, every nonprofit organization requires leadership to ensure that it reaches its goals and objectives. And this begins with a dedicated and supportive board of directors. So you're looking on the screen right now at our current board, and I'd like to just acknowledge each of them at this time, beginning with Ruth Bollinger, Keisha Evans Philpott, Mike Vivino, and you see Lauren and Carol there. We should probably have another screen in which we have Najin Lee. Yes, Laurie Dicker. I'm going out of order here with the screen. Cheryl D-Day. I already mentioned Susan Snell. And we're very pleased to have working with us on staff, Meg McCarthy, who is our volunteer coordinator, and Jenna Prosecco, who is our administrative assistant. So we're really pleased to have all of them with us. Lauren has just joined us, and we just welcome. She's such a dynamic and talented managing director for Project Knitwell. She's orchestrated this evening's event, and we as a board really look forward to working with Lauren in the years ahead to really help expand Project Knitwell's footprint. So thank you. Thank you, Lauren, for that. Finally, this evening, we really want to celebrate, I want to celebrate the visionary and extraordinary contribution of Project Knitwell's founder, and that is Carol Caparosa. You know, we wouldn't be here were it not for Carol's depth of understanding, her compassion, for reminding us of the power of knitting as a truly transformational tool. And it's across generations, across challenges to the mind, body, and spirit. Whatever may be a threat to one's well-being, this is the vision that Carol put forth initially, and we have not moved away from that at all. From the beginning, Carol's been a continuing source of inspiration and energy, and I must say, she's our muse. Carol, we're so grateful for the intuitive guidance and encouragement and skills you've contributed to over the past 10 years. And we really look forward to continuing to grow Project Knitwell's vision with you alongside us in the years ahead. So actually with that, I want to thank you again all for joining us. And now let's welcome Carol to our virtual podium.
Okay, thank you so much, Scott and Lauren. And I've never been called a muse before, but I think I kind of like that. I get used to that. But thank you so much for those words. I really appreciate it. And I just want to take a few minutes to also express my thanks as well. First of all, I want to thank everyone who was on this call tonight. I know that many people probably had Zoom calls earlier today, and you spent the time to come here tonight, and I really appreciate it. And I appreciate the financial support that you've also provided us this evening. And I know there's many people on the call who give regularly to Project Knitwell, and I thank you. I hope you're going to have some fun. You're going to learn a little bit more about Project Knitwell, and you're going to hear from a wonderful speaker, Suzan Colón. So I'm very happy she could join us. Just briefly, we've all heard the expression, it takes a village. So during the formation of Project Knitwell 11 years ago, I had a village surrounding me. And I just wanted to spend a minute thanking those people. First and foremost, it's my family, my brothers and my sisters and my children. They encouraged me. I come from a big family and people have lots of opinions, but there were no naysayers. They encouraged me to start this organization. They helped me with naming the organization. And my sister Beth and I, outside of Boston where she lives, created the tagline, knitting with a purpose, wellness, comfort, and community together one night. I vividly remember that. My brother and sister-in-law are also artists in New York, and they helped design they did design the first logo. Anything we needed graphic-wise, the first year they did, and I'm appreciative of that. And in talking about the family, I do just have to mention my daughter, Emily, because for those of you who don't know the background, I started this organization because of my experience being the mother of a pediatric patient 31 years ago. She was 8 days old when she had her first heart surgery, and we spent, months the next 5 years in the various surgeries she's had. And knitting is what got me through that. So many years later, I went back to volunteer at Georgetown, and I taught mothers how to knit. And that is where the seed for Project Knitwell was really planted. So even though that was not a great situation back in 1990, it did birth this organization. So for that, I'm happy. And I'm also happy to report that my daughter just had a healthy, beautiful baby boy 2 weeks ago. So she can't be on this call tonight because she's either sleeping or feeding the baby, but she sends her best too. Also, others in my village then, we had a pro bono lawyer who helped us set all the legal stuff up. We had accountants that helped us do the books. We had yarn store owners that helped us get the accounts, wholesale accounts for the yarn. So we had so many people helping us. And then along the way, we've had many more people that have shaped how this organization has become. And that's our volunteers. And I want to give a big shout out to our volunteers, because we are pretty much a volunteer run organization, and we really wouldn't be able to operate without their dedication. I always say we're small but mighty, and I put that mighty in caps and bold. And it's because of our dedicated volunteers, our supporters, in-kind supporters and donors. And just two more people I want to mention, and I'll be quiet then, is Michelle Maynard served as our executive director for many years. Many of you know her. And I want to acknowledge what a superb job she did. She took the organization. She started out as a volunteer, and even in the leadership position was a volunteer. And she took our organization and grew the volunteer base. She grew the numbers of organizations that we worked with, and she helped us gain national visibility. So Michelle, thank you. And then to our new leader, Lauren Brennan, I am just so thrilled that she's a part of Project Knitwell. She comes with many skills and talents. And I know that with Lauren at the helm, with the board leadership, the rest of the volunteers and our supporters, that we will steadily and successfully move forward in the next 10 years. And I really look forward to that. So again, thank you so much, all of you, for coming.
Thank you so much for all of your kindness and sharing your expertise with me. I'm so grateful. And I'm wanting to share with you our generous sponsors for tonight. We're very pleased to report that we have quite a few auction items, which all have bids on them also. So I'm excited that when the auction ends at 9 p.m. tonight, we'll have some great auction items to send. Our volunteers created some of those hand knits. And again, more auction items will be released in November, which we're very excited about. But there'll be a link to our eBay for Charity auction in the chat. So be sure to check that out. We really feel strongly that the growth of our program is really unprecedented in so many ways, going from one volunteer to over 50 volunteers, starting our services at one hospital and moving to 6 hospitals and over 20 community sites and impacting over 6,000 people. The people that we serve are diverse and various. They have various needs, and I really feel strongly that we've been able to meet those needs. And I'm really excited to continue to develop new partnerships and continue to serve populations that can benefit from knitting as wellness. Our theme tonight really is our building blocks of success, how our architecture was formed, and really how Project Knitwell's foundation is really on a very solid footing. We're very excited that the core strengths of our mission, wellness, comfort, and community, are really like part of a house. I think of wellness as an opportunity for folks to strengthen and prevent issues that may come up. Comfort, so using knitting as a form of solace in a time of stress. We've found that that's very valuable in so many ways, and really Carol's founding story is based on that. And then the top layer of our house that supports the roof and provides that overall layer of protection is community. The community really supports us all. We have such great volunteers that have built a great community, and those that we've taught to knit are part of our community forever. We really invite all of our participants, all of our volunteers to each of these rooms. We hope that they're full of warmth. We know that the walls have so many stories to tell. And in the spirit of telling very meaningful stories of life unfolding with a good solid dose of knitting for wellness as their foundation, I'm so pleased to introduce Suzan Colón, author and creator of Meditation. She has her latest book is The Yoga Mind, The Journey Beyond the Physical. It's a 30-day program of tools to develop inner strength, peace, and moments of joy in everyday life. And I am so excited to have her join us and to learn a little bit more about her experience. Suzan, I hope that those core strengths that I know we've touched base on them a little bit, but can you tell us a little bit about how you've built your home, which rooms bring you the most comfort, and how you really fulfill those wellness goals and connect with your community? We're so excited to get to know you.
Lauren, thank you so much. I am just beyond thrilled to be here. I want to take a moment before addressing your question to just say thank you to you, to Carol, and to everyone on the board, the volunteers, everyone involved in Project Knitwell for, providing the community and beyond with an initiative that brings so much hope and goodness in a world that really needs it. I mean, we all needed it before, but I think last year proved that good news is welcome and necessary. And Project Knitwell has been a continuous source of good news, good feelings, and ways for people to help that go beyond, perhaps making a donation is not within the realm of someone's scope at this time, but they can teach someone to knit. And what a beautiful thing to pass that on, because we all know how meaningful that can be, not just to ourselves, but to the other person and the people they pass it along to. So I just want to say thank you to everybody here. And yeah, what a great graphic that was of the house.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we're so appreciative of your gratitude, and we feel the strength of our connection with your program. And meditation just feels like it's so aligned with what we do. And
Yes.
I'm excited to learn more about it. And can you tell our audience more about it also?
Yes. So meditation is something that sort of, I think, happens to everybody somewhat accidentally. I don't know that anybody goes into knitting thinking that it's a bona fide form of meditation. I certainly did not. I was in 2001 living 1 mile from the World Trade Centers. I was home on the day of the attack. That was a traumatic experience for all New Yorkers, I feel, as well as people around the country and the globe. A friend of mine had just been diagnosed with terminal cancer. I became one of her caregivers. Another friend of mine had a catastrophic accident that put him in a wheelchair. I lost my job. I lost my relationship. My cat died, all in the space of 6 months. So I was really kind of stressed out.
It's a lot all at once.
It was a lot, yeah. And a friend of mine said, I'm going to take knitting lessons. Would you like to come? I just wanted a distraction. But what I found was that knitting reminded me a lot of traditional meditative practices that I had been involved in. I've been studying yoga and meditation, different types of meditation, for about 30 years now. And I was struck by how much knitting reminded me of some traditional forms of meditation. When people work with mala beads, there is repetitive movement, anybody working with a rosary, repetitive motion. And there are the stitches right there, whether you knit or crochet or, other types of fiber arts. There's some counting, you can incorporate a mantra, the breathing, all of that. So, long story compressed for time, I began developing a system of meditation that would involve the fiber arts, specifically knitting and crochet, because those are the two that I engage in most and know the most about. I am not a very technical knitter at all. I keep things very simple, but I found over the years that I have been knitting, I ask people, why and how did you start knitting? And they say, oh, it's so meditative. And yes, it is. It is meditative, and it's also a meditation. So I feel very aligned with Project Knitwell in terms of the wellness, the self-care, the ability to alleviate stress and possibly even manage pain through the system of meditation, which I am very eager to share with everybody. I don't hold this as a secret. I do, I do hold the trademark on it, oddly enough. And yet, I just want to give it to everybody. I want everybody to benefit from this.
That's so wonderful. And I feel like we could do that and then we could come back for more questions. Would you like to
Absolutely.
try it? Yeah, that would be wonderful.
Absolutely. So what I recommend for meditation is if anybody has a simple project nearby, I always make a very simple shawl. It's the easiest thing in the world, something that's garter stitch, something that's maybe 2 stitches or something like that. I'm currently working on a shawl right now that is, one of my favorite meditative projects. It's very, as you can see, garter, garter, garter. Anything you have that doesn't require looking at a pattern or anything like that, but you do not have to have a project in front of you. Please feel free to visualize. There are times when we do not have knitting available. And so, we just have to do our visualization exercises like I do whenever I have to have an MRI or something like that. So first we begin with the seated posture. Sometimes we tend to curl over, as we start to knit, we are focused and taking the posture of a shrimp in repose. Not a good idea. So we have the check on the posture beginning with a grounding and centering. And just take a moment to feel by shifting your sitting bones, and whatever you're sitting on, just shift a little bit back and forth so that you can be connected with what you're sitting on. Let your legs relax. Your legs can offer you a form of stable support even when they are relaxed. Let your feet be flat on the floor. And if you're wearing shoes or socks, you can wiggle your toes for a moment just to feel whatever it is that your feet are in or on, and then let your feet settle down. Now that you have located your awareness in your feet by moving them around a little bit, bring that awareness up through your ankles, your shins and calves, your knees, your thighs, back and the top, your hips, and sitting bones. Maybe you allow your lower back just to relax a little bit more into whatever you're sitting on. Now, allow your arms to be loose at your sides. Just take a nice deep breath here. And exhale. Having that deep breath elongates the spine. And exhaling, we keep that elongation. It's not a stiff posture. It's just creating spaciousness for your breathing. And now, keeping the chin level with the floor. So we have a comfortable but strong and stable seated posture. If you'd like to close your eyes, if you are not working with a project right now, feel free to do so. If you are working with a project, just take that project up in your hands. The next step is just having a moment of tuning into your breath. Just notice where your breathing is right now. You don't have to alter it in any way. Wherever your breath is right now is perfect. And we're just noticing the inhalation moving into the exhalation. Exhalation moving into inhalation. And it's kind of like the stitches that we make, one leading into the next. It's all this lovely continuous flow of the breath, just like we have a continuous flow of stitches in our yarn, one after the other, wherever it is right now. If you're not working with a project, you can keep your eyes gently closed. If you are working with a project, the next stage is engagement, where we engage the senses If you're visualizing, bring to mind a favorite project in a soothing color that you just absolutely love. Just take a look at the orderliness of your stitches. If you're working with a physical object, please feel free to gently gaze at your stitches, at the colors. The mind is soothed by orderliness and repetition, and that describes the stitches that we see in our knitting. Next, we will begin knitting very slowly. Some of you are very fast knitters. If you're visualizing, also please slow down. Whether this is physical work or a visualization, just take very slow stitches. Going back to beginner's mind, when you had laser beam focus on your stitches. What this does is it kind of shrinks everything down to what's exactly in front of you and in your hands. You're just noticing and observing each stitch. Noticing the feel of the yarn moving through your fingers. And again, you can visualize this or do it in your hands in real life. Just noticing and allowing this sort of a bubble of safe space to be formed around you with this focus. This is a soft, gentle focus, as soft as the yarn you're working with. Notice your thoughts may be receding to the background, or they may just be a little bit calmer. And it's perfectly fine to have thoughts. We're not supposed to entirely clear our minds in meditation. We're just supposed to bring our focus back time and again to what is in our hands, right in front of us. One stitch leading into the next, just like one breath leading into the next. And we will now find a comfortable stopping point, whether visualizing or working with your project, and set that project aside in your lap. And just take a moment once again to tune into your breath. Feeling each inhalation move into exhalation, back into inhalation at your own pace. Just in the same way, we link those stitches, one after the other. And now prepare to take a deep breath in. Maybe take your arms out to the side. And exhale, keeping your arms out, because if you will allow your eyes to float gently open, this is a way for us to connect, even virtually. Arms out means sort of a group hug or connecting. We are all one long skein of yarn connected to make this beautiful project, Project Knitwell. Thank you very much. Namaste. And just stretching and moving in any way that feels comfortable to you.
Thank you, Suzanne. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank everybody for participating, because a group meditation is always better than, well, I like solo meditation, but I also like group meditations. So I normally do meditation for longer, You know, it can be anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes if I'm leading it, or even longer than that. But in the interests of keeping on your schedule, I did a little bit
Sample. That
shorter.
was yes, a wonderful sample and a chance for us to want to come back for more, right? At VKL. And you also have guided meditations on your website as well, right?
I do. I have two
Great.
audios. One is a meditation and the other one is a deep relaxation, which is the part of the yoga class where you get to lie down and or sit down, either one, and just feel each muscle. You know, it's based on, you know, very ancient yogic exercise, which is lying still. Not that easy to do, but we do the body scan and sort of talk to each part of the body. And we don't try to talk ourselves into feeling good when we don't feel good. What we do is we accept where we are, and the mind is a little bit calmer. So yeah, it's an interesting exercise. I would be happy to lead it for the volunteers some night if there's another event.
That would be wonderful. I look forward to continuing to partner with you. Let's see. I know that I mentioned the Kindness Hearts Project, so I wanted
Yes.
to. I would love to hear more about that, and you know how the community coming together around these types of projects. It makes us feel like we're not alone, really.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Kindness Hearts, these are them. Um, these
Oh, they're
are,
adorable, tiny.
yeah, they're very tiny. I love yarn bombing, but I'm a very meditative, i.e. slow knitter and crocheter. So I cannot make a whole piece very quickly. So I I was asked to speak at Vogue Knitting Live in New York, their 10th anniversary of being live in New York in early 2020. And I thought maybe 8 people would show up to hear about meditation, and 160 showed up. So I kind of wanted to give them a little thank you. And I made these little crochet hearts, and each one has a tag with you know, a message of love and kindness. So this one says, everything about you is beautiful.
Mm.
You are a work of art. You are filled with love and light, and the universe is in love with you. And I handwrite each one of these because I feel like my energy is imparted in each message. So I yarn bombed the Marriott Marquis and handed out 400 of these. That
Wow,
was
400.
fun.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And then I somehow got involved with Knit the Rainbow, which provides handmade garments for homeless LGBTQ plus teenagers. And I really wanted them to feel loved, because a lot of them are homeless because their orientation was not accepted by their families, or they've been discriminated against or whatever. So I really wanted these teenagers to know that each person who made something for them cared about them, even if they never met them. So I made 800 of these for
Oh
for
my
Knit the
goodness.
Rainbow. Yeah,
Oh,
I just, you know, my husband and I watch Netflix every night, and I'm just sitting there writing, you know, the universe is in love with you, and you're great, you know, we love you. And it was wonderful because it put me in a fantastic mood. So yeah, so I put out a call, not wanting to hoard that good feeling, to, I have what has been charitably described as a modest social media following. But I put out the call and said, hey, if anybody wants to make these little things with me, there are people who need them, and you feel great doing them. And these knitters and crocheters just in droves. I made 100, I made 200, you know, and so they were saying like, wow, I feel amazing making these hearts. And then I partnered also with Soap Sacks, because my friend Stacy, who runs Soap Sacks, said, hey, I can use these hearts too. I can attach them to the soap sacks that she fills with a bar of soap and gives out to food pantries, domestic violence shelters, veterans homes, anyone who cannot afford the basic human necessity of soap. They get a bar of soap and a little sack that is made of cotton yarn and doubles as a washcloth. What a brilliant idea. So then, you know, my partnership with Project Knitwell, having these kindness hearts thrown in, I mean, what a great thing to be able to pass along wherever Project Knitwell is. And I'm just so grateful to have yet another outlet for these because I love making them. I love very meditative projects, super simple. The pattern is on my website. I did not invent it. I got it from YouTube. As I said, I know nothing about knitting and crochet other than that it's my form of meditation. So if anybody wants to jump on this bandwagon with me, please go to my website and I will also send out a newsletter with a link. But yeah, these are on YouTube and they're super simple to make.
Oh, that's so wonderful. We have a question that
Oh.
talks a little bit about those that may say they can't meditate in a traditional way. What do you typically say to them?
Thank you so much for asking that question. That's pretty much the foundation of meditation. I have, in my many years as a yoga and meditation instructor, I've been teaching both since 2002. I have yet to meet the person who comes up to me and says, oh yeah, meditation, it's easy. I do it every day effortlessly. No, I mean, pretty much everybody who's ever spoken with me about meditation says, I can't do it. My friend Tanya Singer, who is here tonight, she's one of your donors. She is the founder of Knitting Hope. She
Recently wrote a brilliant article that we highlighted.
Yes, she's a brilliant writer and she has beautiful initiative. Please do look her up, everybody. But Tanya took me on a knitting road trip, Thelma and Louise without the tragedy at the end, all about yarn. And she said to me, Suze, can you picture me meditating? Like, it's not a thing. It's just not going to happen. She has a very kinetic personality and she gets a lot done. So meditation was developed exactly for people who say, I can't meditate, I cannot do traditional, sit cross-legged, chant Om, be silent, look, close my eyes, look at my thoughts. People who are in pain find that very distressing. People who have suffered from trauma, PTSD, have anxiety issues, depression issues, being told to sit still, close your eyes and observe your thoughts is like being locked in a closet with a box of rats. It is not fun. So I thought, wait a minute, here's something. And I had seen lots of studies. There's a study that is often cited of a group of patients in an anorexia and eating disorder clinic were given knitting lessons, and 74% of them said that it helped them calm down from their anxiety. And I said, why? How? And so I tracked down the lead doctor who did that research, and he explained it to me, which is knitting, and I would say crochet. And by the way, this is Norman. He says hello.
Hi, Norman.
Knitting, and I believe also crochet, though it was not part of the study, utilizes both hands. So it occupies both hemispheres of the brain. By doing that, thoughts, anxiety, all of that sort of recedes to the background. It's an activity that once a person masters the basic stitches, they can do it, but participate in conversations, and also their listening and retention are improved, which is why you see people in colleges knitting during study. Children, especially children with autism, are finding this very beneficial because it gives them an anchor. And all of a sudden their energies are now focused on this thing, but they can hear, they can participate, they can retain information. So I asked this doctor, Carl Birmingham of the University of British Columbia hospital organization, is, why isn't this in every hospital? And he said, because big pharma cannot make money from knitting needles. So that's
but it's really a form of preventative medicine, truly.
Yes, yes. And also it's a form of maintenance, because even though we can't always prevent disease from happening, we can't prevent conditions, whatever is going on, illness of any type, there are ways to manage stress. And I believe that that is where Project Knitwell and meditation come together in a big old namaste.
Yes.
Because if we can manage the stress and then we can manage some of the pain. That is the wellness part of your house that you were discussing. It's also the comfort part. It's got both parts of that foundation.
Both parts. So and that is such a wonderful segue to, and really that is the fundamental message of why we do what we do. So I would love to share a short video that talks a little bit about Project Knitwell and what we have accomplished to not only understand knitting as a wellness tool, but help others actually learn how to use it as a wellness tool. So I'm going to share my screen, and I hope that this will give everyone an opportunity to learn more about how we or why we do what we do.
When I started this program back in 2010, I had no idea how long it would last, but I am very proud that we have marked this 10-year. I'm proud of the work that's been done, the volunteers who have been part of this organization, and most importantly, very proud of the numbers of people that we have been able to help. I also hope that Project Knitwell will be much more involved in research. I'm passionate about that. I feel that much more research needs to be done.
A new Mayo Clinic study found that activities such as knitting during later years are good for your brain.
Making things, bringing things into being with your hands is one of the most important things that we can do for happiness and wellness.
Well, the medical community is buzzing, not about the discovery of a new drug or procedure, but the centuries-old crafts of knitting and crochet. Mounting evidence, anecdotal and clinical, is pointing to the medical and therapeutic benefits of these skills.
Knitting is far more than just a hands-on task. When I first learned to knit with Project Knitwell, I was working as an oncology nurse. My colleague Christina and I discovered many of our nurses were feeling burned out, so we asked the Project Knitwell volunteers to teach us how to knit. It began as a simple project, but over time, our nurses, after learning to knit, had increased rates of compassion satisfaction and decreased burnout scores.
There is a word that they use now in healthcare called compassion fatigue, and that is basically another word for burnout. And at MedStar Georgetown University Hospital, Project Knitwell was able to be a part of a research study that was done, which showed that knitting was a good intervention to help nurses reduce their burnout.
Later, I worked with Project Knitwell again when my son was sick and in the NICU. I was not allowed to hold him, but they helped me to finish this blanket so I could wrap my son and provide him some maternal comfort. My example is just one small example of the many wonderful works that Project Knitwell has done.
They're excellent teachers for beginners. They taught me how to knit, and we have found that it has been a great healing tool for our cancer community. Not only the knitting process, actually knitting is healing, it's meditative, but the community most of all. The group of women and men that come together are absolutely fabulous. They are so supportive to one another, and I often tell newcomers that joining the knitting circle is like being embraced by a hug of support.
I have been working at a school for emotionally disturbed children called Rika up in Rockville. It has been truly my honor to work with those children and to help them learn to knit and to develop a skill where they can reduce their stress and just have a good time.
In working there on the oncology units and in the NICU, a sense of future and looking ahead is a critical component for families and for patients. And knitting does that. We talk about what they could make and how they will use it, and the fun parts of thinking for others and thinking outside of the hospital base. But the minute-to-minute part of knitting is also really important, the stitch-by-stitch knitting together in the same room. They'll say, oh, I'm going to make a scarf and wear it to the football game next fall. And these are patients who've been in the hospital for months. Yeah. or mothers who want to knit something for their babies to wear home. So there's that sense of, I'm looking to the future. But it's also knitting, as we've heard today, is a very in the moment experience, very much in the moment, very present, and it keeps you right here with each stitch and each breath and each thought. We go home with families that we work with, not just in a plastic bag with needles and yarn, but in their heads and their hearts. And we've heard that from patients and families for years, and we will hear it 10 years from now. So happy anniversary, and here's to 10 more great years.
And we're back. We should have that soundtrack behind us all the time, right? I'm so pleased that we were able to share how well our missions align, and we really truly look forward to continuing to connect and building future partnerships. The Authors Who Knit events in the future, we hope to have really strong partnerships and even retreats. You never know, right? That would be wonderful. I know one of our core strengths that I would be remiss in not talking about how our foundation and our future is really built on our volunteers. And I really want to be sure that I thank those of you that keep our house in order. Not only do you take all of the tools that you have in your toolkit, but you spread those to others. And we're so appreciative of our volunteers. So I have another quick video to share to close out the evening. And I hope that it will be an opportunity for you to learn more about how our volunteers are really part of our core strength. We always want to thank our chief architect, Carol, for her vision. Her signature really is on all of our blueprints. And I feel so strongly that she has built this project really, truly brick by brick, or stitch by stitch, I guess would be the better way to describe it. And in addition to that, I would also really like to thank, and it's been so clear to me since I've begun working here, that Michelle Maynard, our former executive director, is really a key builder of the team. She helped recruit so many of our volunteers, kept them organized, developed new partnerships and initiatives that really expanded. It broke down a lot of walls and really expanded us beyond our potential. So I am excited to continue to work with her as a wordsmith for our social media. And I know that we're all thanking her for her initiatives. So I'm going to pull up a very quick minute and 30 video to share with you. Thank you for joining us. I am truly grateful that you all were able to join us and to celebrate our 10 years. We're so excited by all of your support, and we're excited to continue our mission in the years to come. I appreciate all of your time, and look for a follow-up email with all the links that we shared, and take a look at that last hour of our auction. We're so grateful to the beautiful pieces that our volunteers have shared and will continue to share with us. So thanks for your time. And I thank Suzanne, and we look forward to hearing more from you in the future.
Thank you
Thanks
so much. Thank you, Lauren and Carol and the board and everyone who attended, everybody who went to the auction. What a beautiful event. And yes, here's to the next 10 years and beyond of Project Knitwell.
Absolutely. Thank you.